Under a blood-orange dusk, beneath the whisper of ancient pines and the ghostly shimmer of the moon, Winona stood alone at the threshold of her destiny. The air was heavy with secrets, and every rustle of leaves seemed to echo the murmurs of a forgotten past. Tonight, the world felt suspended between dreams and despair, a silent promise of change cloaked in mystery. As she gazed upon the ceremonial markings etched across her skin, pulsing softly like a heartbeat in the deep twilight, she knew that nothing would ever be the same again. It began with a sudden gut-wrenching twist of fate at the ritual that was meant to celebrate her sacred union. Instead, betrayal had shattered the bonds of ancient promises. The festive drums, once heralds of destiny, had fallen silent. In their place, a crushing emptiness filled the sacred ground, a void where the hopes of an entire legacy had been snuffed out. Winona's heart pounded with the raw agony of rejection, each beat resonating with the weight of ancestral loss and the chilling sting of betrayal. In that moment, standing amid the cold ashes of a broken tradition, she felt as if her very soul was being torn apart. Yet, within that searing pain, a spark ignited, a flame of fierce determination and defiance. The isolation of the night, the murmur of the wind carrying the scent of impending storms, and the solemn gaze of 1,000 unseen ancestors converged to form a single, unyielding purpose. She would no longer be a victim of fate, but the architect of her own destiny. With trembling fingers tracing the indelible symbols of her heritage, Winona vowed to transform her anguish into the strength that would reshape not only her life, but the very fabric of a crumbling, archaic world. Her journey had begun long before this fateful night, in a realm where the modern and the mystical collided in a dance of light and shadow. She had always sensed that there was more to her than met the eye, a hidden power waiting to be awakened, locked away beneath layers of fear and doubt. Now, as the vestiges of tradition crumbled around her, the secrets of her lineage surged forth like a torrent of ancient magic. Every step she took resonated with the promise of renewal, the thrill of transformation, and the echo of legends yet untold. As the forest closed in around her, the towering trees forming a natural cathedral of darkness and light, Winona's mind was flooded with memories of what once was, a time when the world was woven with the threads of magic, when every star was a beacon of hope and every shadow a doorway to possibility. The images were as vivid as the night sky itself, luminous, runes dancing across her arms, the ethereal glow of forgotten spells, and the soft cadence of an age-old lullaby sung by the wind. These visions stirred something deep within her, a silent chorus of voices that beckoned her toward a future filled with both beauty and peril. The path ahead was treacherous and uncertain, yet she felt a magnetic pull to move forward. With each step, the boundary between the tangible and the mystical blurred, as if the very fabric of reality was being rewoven before her eyes. The moon, a silent sentinel in the heavens, cast an otherworldly glow over her journey, a reminder that even in the deepest darkness light could be found. It was a call to arms for the brave, a challenge to rise above the shackles of despair and embrace the potential of rebirth. In the solitude of that enchanted forest, where the ancient pines whispered long-forgotten secrets and the ground pulsed, with the heartbeat of the earth, Winona found herself at the crossroads of destiny and desire. The inner turmoil that had once threatened to overwhelm her began to coalesce into a raw, unbridled force. Her eyes, now reflecting the steely determination of one who had seen the face of betrayal, glistened with an inner fire that would not be quenched. The pain was still there, an ever-present companion, but it had transformed into something more potent, a defiant yearning to reclaim her future and rewrite the script of fate. As she ventured deeper into the heart of the forest, the world around her seemed to shift and breathe in tandem with her own transformation. The rustling of the leaves became a symphony of ancient incantations, the murmur of the wind a poetic dialogue with the spirits of the past, Every shadow held the promise of revelation. Every glimmer of light a sign that she was not alone. The isolation she once feared now revealed itself as a crucible, a sacred space in which her true self could emerge, untamed, unyielding, and luminous. Her journey was more than a mere escape from the pain of betrayal. It was a pilgrimage into the depths of her own soul. Each step forward was a battle against the lingering echoes of a life she had known, a confrontation with the doubts that had threatened to paralyze her. In the interplay of light and darkness, Winona discovered that the greatest strength lay in the delicate balance between vulnerability and power. She was, and always had been, a bridge between worlds, the mortal and the mystical, the modern and the timeless. This realization stirred within her a profound sense of purpose that transcended the sorrow of her past. Now, as she walked along the moss-covered paths lit by the silver glow of the moon, every sensation was heightened to a near-spiritual level. The cold air, heavy with the scent of pine and earth, whispered promises of transformation. Each heartbeat echoed like a drum of war, calling her to rise above the ruins of shattered promises. She could almost see the faint outline of an ancient prophecy unfurling in the night, a tapestry of fate, woven with threads of hope and despair, destined to bring forth a new era from the ashes of the old. In that charged silence, where every moment brimmed with both peril and promise, Winona felt the unmistakable presence of something far greater than herself. The forest, with all its eerie beauty and latent power, was a living testament to the endurance of life in the face of relentless change. Here, in the crucible of nature's raw majesty, she began to understand that every ending was also a beginning. The pain of the past was merely the prelude to a future yet to be written. A future in which she would harness the mystical energies coursing through her veins to forge a new path, not just for herself, but for all who dared to dream of a harmonious world. This is the story of a woman reborn from betrayal. A journey of transformation, fueled by inner conflict and a relentless quest for balance. As the night deepened and the forest hummed with ancient secrets, Winona took a deep, steadying breath and stepped boldly into the unknown. With every fiber of her being, she was ready to face the trials ahead, to confront the ghosts of her past, and to embrace the shimmering promise of a future, illuminated by both pain and possibility. In the silent, watchful gaze of the stars, her destiny awaited. A destiny that would challenge the very boundaries of the known world and echo through the corridors of time. And so, beneath the ethereal glow of a waning moon, as the whispers of the ancient pines melded with the fervent beat of her heart, Winona began to move forward. With the quiet strength of one who has been broken and rebuilt, she stepped into the night, ready to transform isolation into empowerment, despair into hope, and a single, fragile moment into an everlasting legacy. The ritual hall was a realm of ritualistic splendor and timeless tradition, bathed in the silver glow of the full moon. Elaborate symbols, painstakingly inscribed in indigo on ancient bark and stone, shimmered as if alive with the memories of countless generations. Incense smoke curled in graceful spirals through the air, carrying with it the scents of rare herbs and old magic, while the rhythmic beating of distant drums lent a heartbeat to the night. Every element of the ceremony had been designed to honor the sacred union that was Winona's destiny, a union meant to intertwine her spirit with the eternal flow of her pack's heritage. On this fateful night, the ceremonial grounds, nestled in a clearing deep within the ancient forest, were alive, with a reverence that bordered on the mystical. Members of the pack, adorned in traditional regalia, cloaks embroidered with ancestral symbols and beads that glinted in the moonlight, formed a solemn circle around a stone altar. Their eyes, glistening with a mix of hope and solemn duty, were fixed upon Winona, who stood at the heart of the ritual. She was resplendent in her fusion of old and new, a flowing white dress that spoke of purity and modern elegance, contrasted sharply by the sacred markings adorning her skin, markings that testified to a legacy of mysticism and ancient power. The ritual began in earnest as the pack's elder, Hania, raised her weathered hands, and intoned the age-old incantations. Her voice, rich with the timbre of experience and sorrow, resonated over the hushed assembly, summoning the presence of spirits and ancestors. The air trembled with anticipation, as each word seemed to ripple through the fabric of reality, and the ceremonial fires, meant to blaze as symbols of rebirth and unity, were lit with a sacred brilliance. Sparks danced in the darkness, their flickering light reflecting in the eyes of every onlooker as they witnessed the manifestation of traditions that had endured the test of time. But then, in a heartbeat, the sacred atmosphere shattered. A sudden silence fell over the gathering, a silence so profound it swallowed the echoes of the drums and stilled the dance of the flames. Winona, who had been the beacon of hope in that moment, felt a sharp, soul-wrenching tremor inside her. The eyes of the pack turned towards her, their expressions contorted in disbelief and dread, as Cho, the man destined to be her eternal companion, stepped forward. His presence, once a source of unwavering warmth and protection, now exuded a chilling detachment. In his gaze, Winona saw the cold glint of resolve that spoke of decisions made in darkness. "Winona," Cho's voice emerged, low and measured, slicing through the sacred silence like a knife. "The mating ceremony. It is cancelled." His declaration fell like a stone into the still pond of the ritual, sending shockwaves of dismay through every heart present. In that moment, the fabric of destiny, so carefully woven with the threads of ancient prophecy, began to unravel. The ceremonial fires flickered uncertainly, their light dimming as if mourning the betrayal unfolding before them. Winona's breath hitched, and for a suspended heartbeat, the world seemed to stand still. Time itself appeared to pause as her eyes locked with Cho's, searching desperately for any trace of the love and devotion they once shared. But all she found was an abyss of indifference, a void where the promise of their destined bond had been obliterated. The pain of rejection coursed through her veins like a searing fire, each syllable of Cho's words striking her like physical blows, shattering the fragile hope that had taken root in her heart. The chaos that ensued was immediate and overwhelming. The harmonious cadence of the ritual was replaced by the cacophony of voices, angry shouts, cries of disbelief, and the pounding of feet as pack members scrambled in confusion. Hania's eyes, usually a wellspring of wisdom and comfort, now brimmed with sorrow as she beheld the unraveling of a sacred covenant. She stepped forward, her voice trembling with both authority and heartbreak. "Cho, why? Why would you cast aside our ancient bond? The very fabric of our destiny is at stake." Cho's response was cold and measured, a stark contrast to the raw emotion that rippled through the gathering. "I have found someone stronger, someone worthy to lead this pack into the future," he declared, his tone unyielding and final. His words, laced with a resolve that brooked no opposition, plunged the assembly into a deeper state of disbelief. Each syllable was a dagger to Winona's soul, and as his voice echoed across the clearing, it marked the irrevocable rupture of a bond that was meant to last an eternity. Amid the tumult, the ceremonial markings on Winona's skin began to glow, a soft, pulsating light that seemed to bear witness to the shattered legacy. They illuminated her pain and transformation, casting long, eerie shadows on the ground. In that radiant glow, a flicker of ancient prophecy emerged, a silent herald of change that whispered of a destiny yet unfulfilled. It was as if the very symbols, forged by the hands of long-departed ancestors, were mourning the loss of their sacred promise, and at the same time, urging her to rise above the treachery. In the midst of this pandemonium, Hania moved closer to Winona. Her frail, trembling hand reached out in a gesture of both solace and urgency. "Child, listen to me," she murmured, her voice heavy with the weight of hidden truths. "There are forces at work tonight that even the oldest prophecies failed to foresee. The spirits are restless. They whisper of change, of destiny reborn from the ashes of betrayal." Her eyes, misted with unshed tears, implored Winona to understand that the night's devastation was not the end, but the beginning of a tumultuous journey toward a greater power. Winona's internal turmoil swirled as she fought to comprehend the enormity of what was unfolding. The sacred rituals that had once promised unity and rebirth were now marred by a bitter betrayal, and the price of that treachery was written in the very language of her soul. Every beat of her heart resonated with the echo of a destiny now in flux, a destiny that would force her to confront the deepest recesses of her own identity, to reconcile the fragments of love and loss that threatened to overwhelm her. As the pack members exchanged uncertain glances, their faces etched with a blend of fear, anger, and sorrow, the atmosphere became electric with the weight of unspoken questions. What did this betrayal mean for the future of the pack? What ancient forces had driven Cho to such a cold decision? And, most hauntingly, what was the role that fate had reserved for Winona? A role now obscured by the shadows of broken promises. The moon, ever the silent observer, shone down upon the unfolding drama with a serene indifference. Its pale light cast long, haunting silhouettes of the assembled pack, magnifying their despair and heightening the surreal nature of the scene. The interplay of light and shadow transformed the clearing into a living canvas, a visual testament to the internal conflict raging within each soul present. In that charged moment, the ritual's disruption became more than a mere act of betrayal. It was a seismic event that would reverberate through the ages, echoing in the legends and prophecies of their people. Winona's eyes, brimming with tears of both anguish and defiance, locked onto Cho one last time. "How could you?" she whispered, her voice a fragile tremor against the storm of betrayal. "How could you tear us apart when our bond was sealed by the very spirits of our ancestors?" Her words, imbued with a deep-seated sorrow, hung in the air as an anguished plea, a desperate bid for the love and connection that had been so brutally stripped away. For a fleeting moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. The only sound was the soft murmur of the wind, as if nature itself mourned the rupture of a once sacred bond. Then, as if driven by a dark inevitability, Cho's gaze hardened, and his voice, cold and unwavering, answered with a finality that left no room for reconciliation. "Our paths diverged tonight, Winona. The old ways are dying, and with them, so must our union." His words, devoid of remorse, cut through the remaining traces of hope like a merciless blade. In that instant, the truth of the night crystallized into a bitter revelation. The prophecy that had once promised a harmonious union was now veering into an uncertain, turbulent future. The ancient symbols on Winona's skin pulsed in silent testimony, hinting at a destiny that had been irrevocably altered by the treachery of one she had once trusted. The ritual, meant to solidify a sacred bond, had instead ignited a spark of change. A spark that, if fanned by the flames of inner strength and ancient magic, might one day transform her pain into a power capable of reshaping the fate of her entire world. As the chaos of the disrupted ceremony began to settle into a sorrowful hush, the pack stood divided, some in silent mourning for what was lost, others in a state of bewildered defiance, and a few with eyes that gleamed with the nascent promise of a new beginning. Hania, with her weathered face etched in grief and wisdom, approached Winona once more. "Child," she said softly, "let this betrayal be the crucible in which your true power is forged. The spirits have chosen you not to be a victim, but to rise as the convergence of our ancient past and the dawn of a new era." Her words, laden with a prophecy that hinted at future transformation, resonated deeply within Winona's battered heart. In that sacred, shattered moment, the destiny of Winona, and by extension the destiny of her entire world, hung precariously in the balance. The night, heavy with the echoes of betrayal and the silent promise of change, had transformed from a celebration of unity into a crucible of transformation. The ritual was over, but its reverberations would shape the path ahead, guiding Winona into realms of power and truth that were as daunting as they were awe-inspiring. And so, beneath the eternal gaze of the moon and amidst the ruins of broken vows, Winona stood alone, yet not without hope. The cold words of betrayal had sown the seeds of a destiny far greater than any she had ever imagined. In the interplay of light and shadow, sorrow and defiance, the prophecy of her true calling began to emerge, a calling that would force her to confront not only the external forces of a crumbling tradition, but also the inner demons that threatened to consume her very essence. In the aftermath of that fateful night, the forest transformed into a realm of sorrow and solitude, a silent witness to Winona's shattered spirit. The once vibrant clearing, where ancient fires had danced in celebration, now lay cloaked in a damp, melancholic mist. The steady patter of rain fell like soft tears upon moss-covered stones, echoing the tumult that churned within her heart. Every droplet was a reminder of what had been lost, every rustling leaf a whisper of promises broken. In that bleak tableau of nature's mourning, Winona felt herself sinking into an abyss of despair, a realm where the pain of betrayal threatened to consume her entirely. Her body trembled as she stood beneath a canopy of dark, weeping trees, the cool rain mingling with the sweat of her anguish. For what felt like an eternity, she was caught in a vortex of raw, unfiltered emotion. Shock, bitter sorrow, and a gnawing sense of abandonment. The words that had been so harshly spoken, the finality in Cho's tone, the cold dismissal of a bond once sacred, reverberated in her mind like an unyielding curse. The loss of that union was more than a severing of a connection. It was the unraveling of the very fabric of her identity, a blow that left her questioning every step she had ever taken. In the solitude of that rain-soaked night, Winona sank to her knees, her eyes brimming with tears that caught the faint glow of distant, flickering light. The familiar hymns of the forest, once a source of comfort and timeless wisdom, now seemed to mourn alongside her. In that vulnerable moment, as the weight of betrayal pressed upon her like an invisible shroud, she felt an overwhelming urge to retreat into herself, to let the darkness swallow her whole. Yet, amidst the desolation, a quiet, persistent murmur began to stir within her soul, a faint yet insistent call to rise from the depths of despair. In the isolation of nature's embrace, Winona's inner world began to churn with the echoes of memories and the silent voices of a past filled with both beauty and hardship. She recalled the gentle, nurturing words of Hania, the steadfast presence of her ancestors, and the unspoken promise that had once shone so brightly in her heart. Slowly, through the haze of tears and sorrow, she recognized that the pain was not an end, but a crucible, a necessary trial through which her true strength would be forged. The forest around her, bathed in the soft, diffused light of the moon, and veiled in the gentle patter of rain, became both her sanctuary and her confessor. It was here, in the quiet intimacy of nature's solitude, that she resolved to reclaim her destiny. As she sat in the cool embrace of the night, the world around her shifted from a monochrome of despair to one tinted with the faint hues of hope. The rhythmic drumming of raindrops on leaves seemed to whisper a message of renewal, a promise that even in the darkest night, the seeds of rebirth lay hidden, waiting for the moment to sprout. With each breath, Winona began to let go of the crushing weight of her grief, allowing herself to feel not only the depths of her sorrow, but also the glimmer of possibility that lay beneath it. Her thoughts turned inward, and a dialogue of fierce determination emerged within her mind. "I will not be defined by this betrayal," she vowed silently, her inner voice steadying like a metronome amid the chaotic storm of her emotions. "This is not the end. It is the beginning of my transformation." In that inner monologue, she revisited the memories of her past, not as a series of regrets, but as stepping stones on the path that had led her to this moment. Every loss, every heartbreak, had prepared her for the awakening that now beckoned her forward. The night deepened, and as the rain lessened to a soft, persistent drizzle, a surreal, almost cinematic vision unfolded before her eyes. The delicate luminescence of phosphorescent fungi illuminated the forest floor, casting an ethereal glow that danced in synchrony with the lingering mist. It was as if nature itself was conspiring to reveal the secrets of an ancient prophecy. A silent promise that her suffering was not in vain, but rather the precursor to a rebirth steeped in mystery and power. In that spellbound moment, Winona sensed a stirring within her, an energy that resonated with the very essence of the ancient markings on her skin. They pulsed faintly, as if awakening from a long slumber, and for the first time since the betrayal, she felt a surge of something other than despair. It was a promise of inner strength, a hint of the latent power that lay dormant within her. The signs were subtle yet unmistakable. A soft glow that emanated from the symbols, a gentle warmth that spread like wildfire through her veins, and a whisper of intuition that spoke of a destiny far greater than the confines of shattered love. Her mind, previously clouded by the bitterness of loss, began to clear. Images of her past, both joyous and painful, intermingled with visions of what the future could hold. She saw herself not as a victim of fate, but as a phoenix rising from the ashes of betrayal, her wings unfurling in defiance of the darkness that had once threatened to engulf her. The narrative of her life was shifting, its pages rewriting themselves into a saga of resilience, transformation, and an unyielding quest for balance. Determination replaced the numbness that had once paralyzed her. With each heartbeat, she felt the stirring of a deep, elemental force, a power that was both ancient and innately hers. The forest, now a silent witness to her awakening, seemed to come alive with gentle murmurs of encouragement. The rustling leaves, the soft glow of the moon, and even the lingering scent of rain on the earth conspired to fortify her resolve. In the solitude of that mystical night, Winona began to chart a new course. The betrayal that had once rendered her spirit brittle now served as a catalyst for metamorphosis. She resolved to embrace the pain, not as a mark of defeat, but as the crucible from which her strength would be reborn. "I will transform this agony into power," she declared silently, a promise to herself and to the ancient forces that watched over her. "I will seek out the wisdom of my ancestors and awaken the hidden magic within me. I will not let the darkness define me." As the first light of a hesitant dawn began to brush the horizon with gentle strokes of pale gold, Winona rose to her feet, her eyes now ablaze with the fierce light of determination. The night's torment had given way to a profound clarity, a realization that every end carries within it the seed of a new beginning. The scars etched on her heart were not symbols of defeat, but the marks of a warrior reborn, a testament to the enduring spirit of one who dares to defy fate. In that quiet, transformative moment, the forest seemed to celebrate her resolve. The mist lifted slowly, revealing a landscape imbued with the soft promise of renewal. Winona's internal dialogue grew louder, affirming her commitment to forge a future where her inner strength would be the beacon that guided her through the encroaching darkness. The quiet murmur of ancient trees, the gentle caress of the morning breeze, and the subtle luminescence of newly awakened symbols on her skin all converged to reinforce the truth that she was destined for greatness. Within the silence of that transformative dawn, an inexplicable energy swirled around her, a cosmic acknowledgement of the rebirth that was unfolding. It was a whisper of prophecy, a soft echo of promises made by those who had come before. Though the pain of betrayal still lingered, it had been transmuted into a powerful drive, a resolute determination to reclaim her life and redefine her destiny on her own terms. In the lingering stillness of the early morning, as Winona took her first tentative steps into this new chapter, she carried with her the indelible memory of the night's devastation, yet also the invigorating hope of a future yet to be written. The voice of betrayal had been silenced, replaced by an inner chorus of resolve that resonated with the strength of 1,000 ancestors. She understood that the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, that the path to reclaiming her Power would demand both courage and sacrifice. But in that sacred moment, she welcomed the unknown with open arms, ready to confront the inner demons and external forces that had once sought to shatter her spirit. With a final, resolute glance, back at the rain-soaked clearing, a place that had borne witness to her greatest sorrow and the spark of her rebirth, Winona stepped forward. Her heart, now a crucible of pain and newfound strength, beat steadily with the promise of transformation. She was determined to seek out the ancient wisdom that lay hidden in the depths of forgotten lore, to unearth the long-dormant magic within her, and to rise as the embodiment of resilience, a beacon of hope in a world teetering on the brink of chaos. In that moment, as the horizon began to glow with the first light of day, Winona embraced her inner awakening. The journey from despair to determination had begun, and she was ready to face whatever trials awaited her, armed with the power of her past and the fierce resolve to shape her future. The path ahead was shrouded in mystery, lit by the faint glimmer of prophecy and the relentless pulse of her inner strength. And so, with the gentle promise of a new dawn, Winona set forth on the road to reclaim her destiny, a journey where every step was both an act of defiance and a testament to the undying spirit of a woman reborn from the ashes of betrayal. Winona's journey into the depths of the ancient forest began with a hesitant step, as if each footfall was a silent promise to reclaim the strength that lay dormant within her. The night had surrendered to a gentle pre-dawn haze, and the forest, still shrouded in mist, whispered secrets of forgotten lore. Every rustle of leaves and every distant chirp of a hidden creature formed a natural symphony that guided her forward, a call to venture deeper into a realm where time seemed to pause, and the veil between the mundane and the mystical grew thinner. As she pressed onward, the familiar path of her past gradually gave way to a labyrinth of gnarled roots and moss-clad stones, each step revealing a new fragment of the ancient world. The air was cool and fragrant with the scent of damp earth and wildflowers, and the soft glow of bioluminescent fungi lit her way like a trail of stars on the forest floor. It was in this ethereal glow that Winona first sensed the presence of those who had long watched over her kind. A gathering of enigmatic beings who were both guardians and guides of the old ways. Before long, she came upon a clearing where the forest opened up to reveal a crystalline pool. The water, clear as polished glass, mirrored the early light of the breaking day. Here, seated on a large flat stone at the water's edge, was an elderly figure draped in a cloak woven from leaves and twilight shadows. It was Hania, the revered, keeper of ancient traditions, whose once gentle eyes now shone with renewed purpose. The lines on her face, etched deep by time and sacrifice, softened as she regarded Winona with both sorrow and pride. "Welcome, child," Hania spoke, her voice a soothing murmur that blended with the gentle lapping of the pool's water. "You have come at a time when the old magic stirs again. It is time for you to learn the ways of the ancestors and to awaken the power that has always been a part of you." Winona knelt by the pool, her heart pounding with a mixture of trepidation and anticipation. "Teach me," she whispered, her voice trembling yet resolute. "I need to know how to harness what I feel inside, to transform my pain into strength, and to find balance between what was and what must be." Hania's eyes gleamed as she rose gracefully, beckoning Winona to follow her along a narrow, winding trail that led deeper into the heart of the forest. As they walked, the natural world seemed to shift and pulse around them. The rustling of the leaves deepened into a rhythmic cadence, accompanied by a soft, haunting melody that seemed to emanate from the very soul of the woods. Every sound, the distant call of an owl, the gentle murmur of a hidden brook, and the faint echo of ancient chants, wove together to create an atmosphere of profound mystery and sacred reverence. They soon reached a grove where the trees arched, overhead like the vault of a grand cathedral, their intertwined branches creating patterns of light and shadow on the forest floor. In the center of the grove stood a circle of ancient stones, each one inscribed with symbols that glowed faintly in the emerging light. It was here that Hania explained the first lesson, the art of attuning oneself to the energies of the natural world. Every living thing, Hania said softly, carries within it the spark of ancient magic. To awaken your power, you must learn to listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart. The rustle of the leaves, the murmur of the wind, even the quiet hum of the earth itself will speak to you. They will teach you the balance of life, the harmony of nature, and the wisdom of the old ways. Winona closed her eyes and took a deep breath, allowing the symphony of the grove to envelop her. Slowly, she began to sense a subtle vibration deep within her chest, a gentle pulse that matched the rhythm of the earth. With each exhalation, the sensation grew more defined, as if the power of the forest were merging with her own essence. In that quiet communion, the scars of betrayal and loss began to fade, replaced by a burgeoning certainty that her inner strength was real and that it was hers to command. As the lesson unfolded, other figures began to emerge from the shadows of the grove. A young man with eyes as luminous as the dawn appeared, his presence exuding an effortless grace. He introduced himself as Finn, a guardian of the ancient paths, a traveler between realms who had dedicated his life to preserving the balance of nature. Alongside him came Zara, a sorceress whose arms were adorned with intricate tattoos that pulsed with a light of their own, each symbol telling a story of battles fought and wisdom earned. Together, they formed a small council of mentors, each with knowledge gleaned from lifetimes immersed in the old magic. Their voices blended into a harmonious chorus as they shared the lore of the ancestors. The strength within you, Zara explained, is not merely raw power. It is the wisdom of centuries, the echo of every tree, every river, every stone that has witnessed the rise and fall of empires. Embrace this power, for it will be your shield and your guide. Finn added, in this journey, you will face many trials. But remember, every challenge is a teacher, and every struggle a stepping stone. The essence of our traditions is to learn, to adapt, and to flourish even amidst the harshest storms. Winona listened intently, her mind absorbing each word like a parched land receiving rain. With every lesson, she felt the subtle transformation within her, a shift from the hollow ache of betrayal to the vibrant promise of rebirth. The markings on her skin, once mere relics of an ancient past, began to glow with an inner light, as if acknowledging the awakening of her power. It was a mesmerizing sight, the interplay of soft luminescence and shadow on her skin, a visual echo of the balance between vulnerability and strength. In a quiet moment beneath the boughs of an ancient oak, Winona and Hania paused to reflect on the journey thus far. The old woman's gaze was gentle, yet piercing, as if she could see the hidden currents of fate swirling around her pupil. You have tasted sorrow, Winona, Hania murmured, but now, let that sorrow be the forge in which your new self is tempered. Embrace every part of your experience, the pain, the loss, the hope, and let it guide you to the fullness of your potential. Winona nodded, feeling the weight of those words settle into her soul. I understand, she replied, her voice a blend of determination and quiet wonder. Every step I take, every lesson I learn, is leading me toward a destiny that is mine to claim. I will not let the past define me. Instead, I will let it empower me. The grove seemed to come alive with a soft, radiant energy, as if the very spirit of the forest was affirming her vow. Light filtered through the canopy in golden beams, dancing across the ancient stones and igniting a series of shimmering reflections on the surface of the crystalline pool nearby. In that moment, Winona felt an overwhelming surge of clarity, a connection to something vast and eternal, as if the boundaries between herself and the natural world were dissolving into a singular, harmonious pulse. Her body, once burdened by the weight of despair, now moved with a newfound fluidity. Every gesture, every breath, was imbued with purpose and grace. The lessons of the ancient guardians had begun to take root, transforming her from within. She was learning not only to harness the elemental forces of nature, but also to channel them through her very being. The forest was not simply a backdrop to her journey. It had become a living, breathing mentor, whispering ancient secrets and offering solace in its rustling leaves. As the morning light grew stronger, casting a vibrant spectrum of colors upon the dew-kissed undergrowth, Winona felt that the journey had only just begun. With the guidance of Hania, Finn, Zara, and the other mystical mentors, she was ready to explore further into the hidden recesses of the old world, a realm where every stone and every shadow held the key to unlocking her true potential. In the distance, the gentle murmur of a waterfall beckoned, its crystalline cascade promising both renewal and revelation. With a final glance back at the sacred grove, a place that had nurtured her awakening, Winona turned her face toward the next horizon. Each step along the winding, sun-dappled path was a testament to her resolve, a declaration that she would forge her own destiny amid the timeless dance of nature's power. As she advanced, the symphony of the forest swelled around her, a crescendo of birdsong, rustling leaves, and the soft, rhythmic pulse of the earth. The air itself seemed to shimmer with possibility, and the once distant call of the waterfall now echoed like a herald of transformation. In that moment, Winona realized that her inner light was no longer a faint, flickering ember. It had ignited into a blazing beacon of hope and strength. This journey was not just about reclaiming what had been lost. It was about discovering the boundless reservoir of power that had always resided within her, waiting to be awakened. And as she moved forward, the landscapes of her past and future converged into a single, vibrant tapestry of life, woven together by the threads of ancient wisdom and modern resilience. With every breath, every step, and every whispered lesson of the forest, Winona embraced the adventure of self-discovery. She was no longer the girl haunted by betrayal, but a woman reborn, an embodiment of nature's eternal cycle of decay and renewal. Her path, illuminated by the gentle guidance of her newfound mentors and the timeless energy of the earth, promised challenges and triumphs alike. And in the quiet solitude of that ancient forest, with the rising sun casting its golden glow upon the world, Winona embarked on the next chapter of her destiny, ready to harness the magic within and shape the future that awaited her. The night had deepened into a velvet abyss when Winona reached the edge of the known world, a place where the fabric of reality began to shimmer and unravel into something altogether otherworldly. Before her stood the nexus, a vast, pulsating portal of ancient magic and modern mystery, its surface a living tapestry of swirling lights and enigmatic symbols. It was not a door in the conventional sense, but rather a gateway that defied mortal understanding, a liminal space where the boundaries between the physical realm and the mystical dissolved into ethereal mist. The nexus loomed before her like a colossal mirror, reflecting a universe of possibilities. Its surface was alive with luminescence. Streams of iridescent colors flowed and merged, morphing into intricate patterns that danced in time with a symphony of sounds. A low hum, part music, part the heartbeat of the cosmos, resonated deep within her chest, filling her with both trepidation and awe. Each ripple of light along the portal's surface was like a brushstroke of an unseen artist, painting scenes of distant worlds where time and space intertwined in surreal harmony. Winona approached. The air around her vibrated with energy. The familiar scent of damp earth and pine gave way to something altogether more intoxicating, an aroma of ancient incense and wild, untamed magic. With every step, the transition grew more pronounced. The tangible world of shadowed trees and rain-washed leaves receded behind her, replaced by a realm that was as fluid and dynamic as a dream. It was a moment of pure cinematic wonder, a threshold where the mundane was transformed into the miraculous. She extended a trembling hand toward the nexus, and in that instant, the world seemed to hold its breath. A cascade of sparkling particles swirled around her fingers, coalescing into tiny orbs of light that danced upward like fireflies on a summer night. The air shimmered, and a gentle wind, at once warm and ethereal, whispered secrets of distant galaxies and forgotten epochs. Winona felt the pull of destiny guiding her closer, drawing her inexorably toward the portal that promised both revelation and transformation. With a deep, steadying breath, she stepped forward into the luminous void. The sensation was immediate and overwhelming, like plunging into a river of liquid light, where every molecule vibrated with an ancient power. The transition was both jarring and sublime. For an eternity that passed in a heartbeat, she was suspended, in a liminal space, where the known and the unknown converged in an endless tapestry of swirling color and sound. Time itself became malleable, stretching and contracting in a rhythm that was at once both chaotic and profoundly ordered. As Winona moved deeper into the nexus, the environment around her began to shift. The boundaries of her former world melted away, replaced by a surreal panorama of ever-changing landscapes. At times, she found herself surrounded by towering spires of crystal that refracted the light into dazzling rainbows. At other moments, she drifted through vast, celestial gardens where luminous flora pulsed in sync with an unseen cosmic beat. The air was filled with a symphony of otherworldly sounds, the gentle chime of crystal, the deep resonance of ancient drums, and the soft melodic whispers of voices long past. It was a sensory overload that both exhilarated and humbled her. In the midst of this shifting kaleidoscope, Winona began to understand the true nature of her journey. Here, in this boundless realm between worlds, she was not merely a traveler. She was the conduit, the living bridge between the realm of mortal existence and the infinite wonders of the mystical. The ancient prophecies that had haunted her dreams, the whispered legends of a convergence that could mend or shatter the delicate balance of creation, all converged in this moment. She realized with an almost overwhelming certainty that she was destined to be more than just a survivor of betrayal. She was meant to be the beacon of a new era, a force that could unify disparate worlds and restore harmony where chaos reigned. As she traversed the labyrinthine corridors of the Nexus, Winona encountered other enigmatic beings, ethereal figures, like silhouettes formed of starlight and shadow, drifted alongside her. One such figure, a luminous entity with eyes like twin galaxies, approached her with a silent greeting. Though no words were exchanged, the being's presence spoke volumes, a silent message of welcome, of ancient wisdom passed down through the ages. In that encounter, Winona sensed the echo of countless souls who had once walked this path, each leaving behind fragments of their own power to fortify the bridge between realms. At one point, the environment around her coalesced into a vast, open expanse that resembled a dreamscape of shifting horizons and floating islands. Here, suspended in midair, were relics of an era long past. Ancient runestones etched with cryptic symbols, weathered to a soft glow, and intricate artifacts that seemed to hum with the pulse of forgotten civilizations. A gentle, almost imperceptible vibration resonated through the air, a subtle reminder that the Nexus was not simply a passage, but a repository of collective memory and power. Each relic, each shimmering shard of light, was a testament to the enduring spirit of the ancestors, guardians of the old magic who had once strived to maintain the delicate balance between the seen and unseen worlds. Overwhelmed by the beauty and gravity of her surroundings, Winona paused at the edge of a crystalline plateau. Here, the panorama before her was breathtaking. A sweeping vista of interconnected worlds, each a tapestry of vibrant colors and surreal landscapes. In that moment, the full weight of her destiny pressed upon her, and the significance of her role as the convergence crystallized with a profound clarity. She was not just a solitary wanderer caught in the whims of fate. She was the chosen one, the vital link between realms, endowed with the power to heal the rifts that threatened to tear her universe apart. The quiet majesty of the Nexus stirred within her a cascade of emotions, exhilaration, reverence, and a deep, pulsating determination. She recalled the lessons of her mentors, the wisdom of Hania, the gentle guidance of Finn, and the fierce encouragement of Zara. Their voices echoed in her mind, urging her to embrace this journey, to unlock the secrets of the ancient power that flowed through her veins. Each step forward was a step away from the pain of her past, a step toward the unfolding of a destiny that transcended the confines of betrayal and loss. With renewed resolve, Winona pressed deeper into the heart of the nexus. The very air around her seemed to sing with the promise of transformation, the vibrant energy of life intermingling with the mystical aura of the portal. The transitions between worlds were not abrupt, but rather fluid and seamless, a continuous flow of cosmic energy that pulsed in synchrony with her heartbeat. As she moved through this ever-shifting expanse, she began to notice subtle signs, fleeting visions of ancient prophecies, echoes of words long spoken in forgotten tongues, and the soft, resonant pulse of a power that was both primordial and eternal. One particularly striking moment occurred as she passed through a corridor of swirling mist and stardust. In that ephemeral space, the colors around her intensified, and the sounds of the nexus grew into a powerful crescendo. It was as if the universe itself had paused to witness her transformation, a moment of perfect clarity when she truly understood that the powers she had sought were not external forces to be harnessed, but reflections of the strength that had always resided within her. The ancient symbols that adorned her skin shone brighter than ever, each glowing rune a silent testament to her connection with the timeless magic of creation. In this heightened state of awareness, Winona experienced a profound internal shift. The duality that had once defined her existence, the struggle between light and shadow, between hope and despair, began to harmonize into a single, resonant chord. The barriers that had separated her from the mystical realm dissolved, leaving her bathed in the radiant glow of her own potential. With every step through the nexus, she felt herself growing not only in power, but also in understanding. The journey had revealed to her that she was, in essence, a living embodiment of balance, a convergence of the ancient and the modern, the seen and the unseen. As the corridors of the nexus gradually yielded to an expansive, open space filled with the brilliance of innumerable celestial bodies, Winona found herself standing at the precipice of a new horizon. Before her stretched a vista of breathtaking wonder. Worlds intertwined in a delicate dance of creation, each a testament to the endless possibilities that lay beyond the confines of her former life. Here, the nexus was not merely a portal, it was a promise of renewal, a bridge that connected the disparate threads of existence into a tapestry of infinite potential. In that awe-inspiring moment, a cascade of insights flooded her mind. Visions of ancient prophecies, etched in the language of stars and time, revealed themselves like fragments of a long-forgotten dream. She saw glimpses of a destiny that would reshape the very nature of reality, a destiny in which she would serve as the linchpin that held the cosmos together. The realization was both humbling and exhilarating, a call to embrace her role with unwavering determination and to forge a path that honored the legacy of those who had come before. The sound of the cosmic symphony, the luminous dance of light and shadow, and the palpable energy of the nexus all converged to create a single, transcendent truth. Winona was the bridge between worlds, the living conduit through which ancient power could flow into a modern era desperate for change. And as she stood there, poised on the brink of the unknown, she knew with every fiber of her being that her journey was only just beginning. The nexus had opened before her, like a gateway to infinite possibility, and she was ready to embrace the mysteries, to unlock the secrets of the ancient prophecies, and to step fully into the role that fate had chosen for her. With a final, resolute glance back at the fading echoes of her old life, Winona took a deep breath and stepped forward. The transition from the tangible world of sorrow and loss to this realm of luminous wonder was complete. In that instant, she felt herself merge with the energy of the nexus, becoming one with the swirling currents of cosmic power. Every sensation, every sound, every flash of light was a reminder that she was no longer bound by the limitations of her past. Here, in this boundless expanse of possibility, she was free. Free to forge her own destiny, free to heal the rifts that had long divided her world, and free to embody the convergence of ancient wisdom and modern resilience. Thus, as the celestial panorama unfolded before her, and the cosmic symphony reached its majestic crescendo, Winona embraced the truth of her calling. The nexus was not just a passage between worlds. It was a crucible in which her very essence was transformed into a beacon of hope and strength, a radiant testament to the power of the human spirit when intertwined with the timeless magic of the cosmos. And with that profound understanding, she stepped boldly into the luminous future that awaited her, ready to fulfill the destiny that had been whispered to her in dreams, and now shone brightly in the heart of the Nexus. The grand chamber of the Supernatural Council was a realm of sublime power and ancient tradition, a vast domed hall where time itself seemed to bow in reverence. Pillars of carved stone, their surfaces etched with cryptic symbols and runes that glowed with a subtle inner light, supported a vaulted ceiling adorned with frescoes depicting the primordial dance of creation. Here, the air hummed with a palpable energy, a resonant symphony of whispered incantations and echoes of long-forgotten prophecies. At the center of this majestic space, a massive circular table of obsidian and silver stood as the focal point. Around it gathered the most powerful beings of the supernatural realm, dignified vampires with eyes that burned like embers of eternal night, elegant witches draped in garments woven from starlight and shadow, stoic werewolves whose every muscle seemed attuned to an ancient primal rhythm, and mysterious entities whose forms defied mortal description. Each figure exuded an aura of authority, their very presence a testament to the centuries of power they wielded. As Winona stepped into the chamber, a hush fell over the assembly, a silence heavy with expectation and latent conflict. Her arrival was marked by a ripple in the ambient light. The flicker of torches along the walls dimmed momentarily, as if acknowledging the profound shift in destiny that her presence heralded. Winona's heart pounded in her chest, the luminous markings on her skin, still pulsing with the residual magic of the Nexus, cast an ethereal glow upon her determined features. She was no longer the broken soul who had been betrayed. She had emerged transformed, a living embodiment of the convergence between the old and the new. At the head of the table, a figure rose to speak. Alexius Arbiter, a vampire whose ageless face was both regal and severe, fixed his piercing gaze on Winona. His voice, resonant and layered with centuries of accumulated wisdom and wariness, broke the silence. "Welcome, Convergence. We have awaited this moment with both hope and trepidation." His words, though formal, carried an unmistakable undercurrent of challenge. Around the table, murmurs of agreement and dissent mingled. Some council members, their eyes glistening with the weight of tradition, regarded Winona with cautious respect, while others, more progressive in spirit, showed flickers of optimism, yearning for change in a world that had long clung to outdated customs. A dignified witch with silver hair and intricate tattoos encircling her arms leaned forward. "Alexius speaks truth," she intoned, her voice soft yet resolute. "Yet we must not ignore the signs. The balance has been shifting for ages, and the old ways, though venerable, have grown brittle in the face of new power." Her eyes, deep and luminous, met Winona's with a blend of empathy and challenge. Winona felt a surge of conflicting emotions. The weight of the prophecy pressed upon her, a burden that was both inspiring and suffocating. She had long known that her destiny was intertwined with the fate of these ancient powers, but now, confronted by the Council's collective gaze, she could sense the enormity of the responsibility she was about to bear. Her voice, though trembling slightly, rang out clear and steady. "I understand the gravity of what is at stake," she declared, her tone imbued with both vulnerability and fierce determination. "I am not here to upend your traditions for the sake of rebellion, but to heal the rifts that threaten to unravel our worlds. My power is not meant to destroy, but to bridge, to unite what has been divided." A tense murmur rippled through the council. Alexius's eyes narrowed, his expression a mask of stern authority. "You speak of unity, yet your assent has sown discord among our ranks. There are those among us who fear that your emergence signals the end of an era, a time when the old magic was our safeguard. How do you propose to reconcile these differences?" he demanded, his tone measured but laced with challenge. Before Winona could answer, a lean werewolf with silver-flecked fur and a scarred visage rose from his seat. His voice, rough with emotion, broke through the tension. "Change is inevitable. We have watched the world decay under the weight of stagnation. Perhaps it is time to embrace new ways, to let go of the relics of a bygone age." His words, delivered with a mixture of hope and resignation, resonated with several younger members of the council who nodded in quiet agreement. Yet, not all were convinced. A pair of ancient vampires, their expressions carved from centuries of tradition, exchanged a cold glance. One of them hissed softly, "Beware, for unchecked power can corrupt absolutely. The path you tread, Winona, may lead to ruin if not tempered by wisdom." Their voices carried the echoes of countless battles fought to preserve the old order, and their caution was a stark reminder of the delicate equilibrium that had sustained their world for eons. In that charged atmosphere, the chamber seemed to pulse with an unspoken energy, a mixture of hope, fear, and unresolved tension. The interplay of light and shadow on the obsidian table mirrored the internal conflicts of the council, a vivid tableau of the eternal struggle between the revered traditions and the inexorable force of evolution. Winona took a deliberate breath, feeling the ancient power within her resonate with the vibrant energy of the chamber. "I do not ask for blind acceptance," she said softly, her eyes locking with Alexius's. "But I ask for an alliance, a partnership that honors our past while forging a future where magic and modernity coexist in harmony. The prophecies are clear. A time will come when the old and the new must merge, or all will fall into chaos." Her voice, though filled with quiet urgency, carried the wisdom of someone who had traversed the depths of despair and emerged with a renewed vision. For a moment, silence reigned, broken only by the low, rhythmic beating of a ceremonial drum that echoed like a heartbeat through the hall. The council members exchanged glances, their faces reflecting the turbulent emotions of a world on the cusp of transformation. Slowly, the tension began to ease as the reality of Winona's words sank in. Even those steeped in tradition could not deny the creeping erosion of the old order. The crumbling relics of magic that had once shielded them now appeared fragile in the light of inevitable change. Alexius, his features softening ever so slightly, inclined his head in measured concession. "Perhaps there is merit in your words, convergence," he said, his tone less harsh, but still laced with caution. "But know this, the path you propose is fraught with peril. There are forces among us who resist change, who cling to power as though it were a sacred right. Their opposition may not be swayed by mere idealism." His gaze swept the chamber, resting on each face in turn, a silent acknowledgement of the deep divisions that plagued their ancient council. A murmur of assent spread among the more progressive members, while the traditionalists murmured dissent in hushed tones. The chamber itself seemed to shudder with the weight of this impending transformation. In that moment, the air crackled with possibility, a tangible charge that signaled the dawning of a new era. The council, a microcosm of the supernatural world, was on the brink of a seismic shift, its very foundations trembling under the strain of contradictory loyalties and the promise of rebirth. Winona felt the surge of destiny swelling within her. The conflicting voices of the council, Both the impassioned calls for change and the stern warnings of caution melded into a single, resolute call to action. "I accept the burden of this transformation," she declared, her voice resonant with unyielding determination. "I will stand as the bridge between our worlds, uniting the ancient magic with the promise of the future. But I cannot do it alone. I need your guidance, your strength, and yes, even your dissent, to forge a new path that honors our heritage while embracing the evolution that is upon us." In that charged moment, the council chamber seemed to shift from a place of rigid tradition to a crucible of potential, a space where old power met new ambition. The luminous glow of enchanted runes danced upon the walls, and the ambient hum of magic wove a tapestry of hope that intertwined with the murmurs of dissent. It was as if the very essence of the supernatural realm was holding its breath, awaiting the outcome of this historic convergence. One by one, voices began to rise in cautious support. A venerable witch, whose years of wisdom were etched into every wrinkle of her face, spoke with a tremor of passion. "For too long, we have clung to our past as a shield, even as the world around us withers. The balance we have known is no longer sustainable. If Winona can indeed be the bridge that unites our fragmented realms, then we must be willing to take that leap of faith, even if it means challenging our most sacred traditions." Her words, gentle yet piercing, reverberated through the chamber, sowing seeds of possibility among even the staunchest traditionalists. Yet, the tension remained palpable. The ancient vampires exchanged wary glances, their eyes reflecting both the weight of history and the uncertainty of the future. "We must tread carefully," one of them cautioned, his tone measured but resolute. "For every step toward unity, there is a risk of unleashing forces beyond our control." Their warning was a stark reminder of the delicate balance that had once safeguarded their world, a balance that now teetered precariously on the edge of chaos. Amid this maelstrom of conflicting voices and emerging hopes, Winona stood tall, the glow of her inner power illuminating her determined visage. In that solemn chamber, she felt the gravity of her role, as the embodiment of change, the living testament to a destiny foretold by ancient prophecies. The profound responsibility of being the convergence weighed heavily upon her, yet it also filled her with a fierce resolve to mend the fractures within the supernatural realm. "I am not blind to the risks," she said, her tone both somber and resolute. "But the cost of inaction is far greater than the peril of change. Our world is crumbling beneath the weight of old grudges and obsolete power. We must evolve, or perish. I stand before you not as a usurper of tradition, but as a catalyst for the rebirth of our magic, a magic that is as ancient as the stars and as vibrant as the promise of a new dawn." As her words echoed through the hallowed hall, the atmosphere in the chamber transformed. The rigid lines of old divisions began to blur, replaced by a collective recognition that a new era was at hand. The clash between the old and the new, the venerable and the progressive, was no longer merely a battle of wills, but a shared quest for survival. A desperate, passionate search for a way to bridge the chasm that had long separated them. In that historic moment, the Supernatural Council, with all its power and prestige, became a living symbol of the crossroads at which they stood. The Council's internal discord was now a reflection of the broader struggle within the realm, a struggle between clinging to a fading past and daring to embrace the transformative power of change. Alexius Arbiter, his gaze softened by the weight of his own ancient memories, finally spoke again. "Let it be known," he pronounced, "that the fate of our world hinges upon the decisions we make in this chamber tonight. We stand at the threshold of a revolution, a delicate and dangerous rebirth that will test the limits of our unity and resolve. May wisdom guide us, and may our courage be as boundless as the magic that courses through our veins." As the chamber resonated with his final words, a profound stillness settled over the assembly, a silence that carried with it the promise of both hope and uncertainty. Winona, her heart ablaze with the fire of newfound determination, met the gaze of each council member, silently pledging that she would do everything in her power to honor the ancient prophecies and bridge the old world with the new. In that moment of suspended time, as the echoes of the council's words mingled with the pulsating rhythm of ancient magic, Winona understood that her journey was far from over. The battle for unity, the quest to restore balance between realms, had only just begun. And within the hallowed walls of the supernatural council, amid the clash of tradition and innovation, the seeds of a new destiny were being sown. A destiny that would forever change the course of their supernatural world. A deafening roar shattered the fragile silence of the twilight as the forces of chaos descended upon the clearing. A battleground where the fate of two worlds teetered on the edge of oblivion. Winona stood at the heart of the maelstrom, her eyes burning with fierce determination. The air vibrated with the clash of supernatural might as adversaries emerged from the swirling mists. Shadowy figures cloaked in dark magic, snarling werewolves with eyes ablaze, and spectral warriors whose very presence seemed to twist reality. In that explosive moment, the ground trembled beneath her feet. A barrage of energy blasts ignited the darkened forest, their brilliant flashes painting the night in hues of searing blue and crimson. Winona's heart pounded like a war drum, each beat a testament to the fire that now consumed her spirit. With every fiber of her being awakened by the nexus, she was no longer the broken soul of yesterday. She was a beacon of raw, untamed power, the living embodiment of balance and transformation. As the first wave of foes lunged forward, Winona moved with fluid precision. Her body, now an extension of the elemental forces she had learned to command, shifted seamlessly between human form and a more feral, luminous aspect, her eyes glinting with an inner light, her skin shimmering with ethereal energy. With a graceful, yet ferocious sweep of her arms, she unleashed a burst of force that rippled through the air, sending several adversaries reeling backwards. The impact was like a sonic boom, a cascade of sparks and shattered illusions that lit up the darkness. Amid the chaos, she heard a snarled challenge from a hulking, shadow-clad figure at the forefront of the enemy ranks. "You dare defy the ancient order?" the creature bellowed, its voice echoing like a death knell through the ravaged clearing. Without hesitation, Winona met its gaze, her voice ringing clear and defiant over the tumult. "I dare to forge a new balance, a future where old chains no longer bind us." Her declaration reverberated in the air, a rallying cry that stirred the hearts of those few allies who had come to stand by her side. In the midst of the raging battle, the clash of powers was punctuated by moments of poignant dialogue. As a shimmering beam of energy burst from her outstretched hand, knocking back a wave of dark magic, she turned to a nearby ally, a stalwart guardian whose features bore the scars of countless struggles. "Hold fast!" she shouted, her words slicing through the din like a clarion call. "We are the light that shall not be extinguished." The guardian, a lithe figure with eyes reflecting unwavering hope, nodded and surged forward to protect the vulnerable, his own power merging with hers in a brief, incandescent moment of unity. Every action was a symphony of motion and light. The ground beneath them exploded in a riot of luminescence as Winona's newly awakened abilities transformed the very fabric of the battlefield. Streams of energy curved and cascaded like liquid fire, coalescing into protective barriers around her comrades. In one breathtaking instant, she summoned a vortex of shimmering power, a swirling maelstrom that pulled in the enemy forces like leaves caught in a storm. The vortex roared with the raw intensity of nature itself, its force bending light and sound into a mesmerizing, almost otherworldly spectacle. Yet even amid this dazzling display of might, Winona's heart was a storm of conflicting emotions. As she fought, memories of betrayal and despair surged through her mind, threatening to undermine her newfound resolve. But with every adversary she felled, every barrier she raised to shield her allies, those memories transformed into fuel and incandescent reminder of the love that had once been broken, now remolded into a pillar of strength and unyielding hope. In a brief lull between the furious clashes, the battlefield fell into a tense silence. Winona, catching her breath, stood amid the ruins of shattered foes and glowing energy. The soft luminescence of her aura bathed her in a serene light, a stark contrast to the chaos that had just raged. In that moment of stillness, her inner voice spoke louder than the echoes of combat. She recalled the lessons of her mentors, Hania's wisdom, Finn's courage, and Zara's fierce passion, and felt the warmth of a love that had once given her hope. It was not the love of a single person, but a boundless love for all that was pure and right in the world, a force that surged through her veins and whispered promises of renewal. Her eyes met those of a once-distant ally, a young werewolf whose fierce loyalty now shone in every line of his face. "This battle," she said softly, her voice a mixture of tenderness and iron resolve, "is not just for me. It is for every soul that has suffered beneath the weight of a broken past. It is for the future we dare to create, a future built on love, courage, and the unyielding power of unity." The young warrior's nod was almost imperceptible, but it was enough. A silent pledge that their combined might would be the force that reshaped their destiny. Then, as if summoned by her words, the tide of battle surged anew. Dark forces regrouped, launching a renewed assault that threatened to overwhelm the fragile line of defense. In that critical moment, Winona felt the raw power of her destiny surge forth. Drawing deeply on the energy of the nexus, she closed her eyes and channeled every ounce of her being into a single, breathtaking act of defiance. The air around her shimmered as she extended her hands, releasing a brilliant cascade of light that exploded outward in all directions, a dazzling, almost blinding burst that washed over friend and foe alike. For a split second, time seemed to slow. The violent energy coalesced into a radiant sphere that pulsated with the very heartbeat of creation. Within that sphere, the very laws of nature seemed to bend, as if acknowledging the emergence of a power that transcended the simple duality of light and dark. And then, as quickly as it had manifested, the sphere exploded outward, sweeping away the opposing forces in a torrent of energy that left the battlefield transformed. The darkness was pushed back, replaced by the iridescent glow of rebirth, a reminder that even in the depths of conflict, hope could triumph. As the dust settled, Winona surveyed the transformed landscape. The remnants of battle lay scattered, like broken dreams across the clearing, yet amidst the debris, the echoes of her victory resonated like a sacred hymn. The combat had not been without cost. Each fallen enemy, each wounded ally, bore witness to the price of change. But with every life that had been spared, and every heart that still beat with the promise of a better tomorrow, she felt a deeper understanding of her own strength. In the aftermath, as the chaotic clamor gave way to a solemn stillness, Winona knelt beside a fallen adversary, a symbol of the old order that had once ruled with an iron fist. With gentle hands, she whispered a quiet prayer, not of triumph but of reconciliation. "May your spirit find the balance you once sought," she murmured, her voice filled with compassion. This small act, amid the grand theater of war, was a testament to the truth she had come to embrace. That true strength was not merely the ability to vanquish one's foes, but to heal and to mend the fractured bonds of existence. In that moment of introspection, Winona felt the transformation within her complete. The flames of battle had purified her soul, melting away the remnants of bitterness and regret, replacing them with an unshakable conviction in the power of love, courage, and indomitable will. Her scars, both seen and unseen, became marks of honor. Reminders that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, the light of a single, determined spirit could ignite a revolution. As the survivors gathered, tending to wounds and sharing silent glances of newfound resolve, the battle for balance had become more than a struggle for survival. It was a declaration of a new era, the union of magic and modernity, of ancient wisdom and contemporary hope, had been forged in the crucible of conflict. And Winona, with her heart now ablaze with the combined might of all that was pure and true, stood as the living embodiment of that promise. Her gaze swept across the battlefield, lingering on each ally and every fallen enemy, and in that expansive moment, she felt an overwhelming surge of responsibility, a call to action that would resonate far beyond the confines of this clash. "We have fought with honor and defied the darkness," she declared, her voice rising in a triumphant cadence that stirred the very air. "But our journey is not complete. Today we have not merely survived. We have ignited the spark of change that will heal the rifts of our world and restore the balance that has long been lost." Her words, delivered with the raw power of conviction, echoed through the clearing like a rallying cry. The energy of the battle, the shimmering remnants of her unleashed power, and the silent vows of every warrior who had stood by her side converged into a single, unyielding force. A promise that the future would be shaped by those brave enough to defy fate and embrace the power of unity. And so, as the night gave way to the tentative glow of dawn, Winona rose once more, not as a lone fighter, marred by past wounds, but as a leader whose strength was tempered by compassion and resolute courage. In the aftermath of the fierce conflict, amid the flickering remnants of battle and the quiet murmur of healing magic, she vowed to carry the torch of balance into the future, a future where the power of love, the determination of the human spirit, and the ancient legacy of magic would converge to create a new, harmonious dawn for all realms. In the aftermath of the battle, as the embers of conflict slowly dimmed, a new vision began to take shape. A vision of unity and renewal that stretched far beyond the old divisions of the supernatural realm. The Twilight Accord was born out of necessity, a revolutionary alliance uniting those who had long dwelled in the shadows with humans who dared to believe in a future where magic could coexist with modernity. The grand hall where the Accord would soon meet was transformed into a melting pot of cultures and powers, a place where ancient spells and cutting-edge technology converged in a dazzling display of possibility. Under a vaulted ceiling carved with symbols of the old gods and lit by a blend of enchanted candelabras and sleek modern LED panels, representatives from every corner of the supernatural spectrum gathered. Among them were Eliana, a formidable witch with cascading silver hair and eyes that shimmered like moonlit pools. Thorn, a rugged werewolf with scars that told stories of countless battles, his loyalty as fierce as the northern winds. And Lyra, a member of the enigmatic Fae, whose delicate features belied an inner strength and a knowledge of the ancient forgotten arts. Completing this diverse assembly was Dr. Marcus Reed, a human scientist whose groundbreaking work in quantum physics and metaphysical research had made him a crucial bridge between the two worlds. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation. The leaders of the Twilight Accord sat around a vast oval table crafted from reclaimed wood and inlaid with circuits of bioluminescent runes, a perfect marriage of nature and technology. As the delegates took their seats, murmurs of cautious optimism mingled with the residual tension of past conflicts. Yet there was also a palpable sense of hope, a shared determination to forge a future where the divisions of the past would no longer hold sway. Eliana, her voice clear and resolute, addressed the assembly. "We stand at the threshold of a new era," she declared, her tone both poetic and commanding. "For too long, our worlds have lived parallel to one another, separated by fear, by tradition, and by the relentless march of modernity. But now, we have the chance to bridge that divide. The old ways, though sacred, have begun to crumble under the weight of isolation. It is time to integrate the magic of our heritage with the innovations of the human realm." Her words resonated deeply, drawing nods and murmurs of agreement from across the table. Dr. Reed leaned forward, his eyes alight with intellectual fervor. "The science is clear," he added. "When we study the anomalies that persist at the intersection of the natural and the supernatural, we find that they are not mutually exclusive. The very energy that powers our technological advances is intertwined with the magical forces that have existed since the dawn of time. If we can harness this synergy, we can create sustainable, revolutionary solutions for both realms. Thorn, whose gruff exterior often masked a tender heart, spoke next. "I've fought hard to defend what we've known for generations," he rumbled, his voice resonating like a low drumbeat. "But I see now that clinging to the past will only lead to our downfall. Our strength lies not in isolation, but in unity. Let us join our might with the ingenuity of humankind, so that, together, we can protect and nurture our shared world." Lyra, with her soft, ethereal cadence, reminded them of the delicate balance that had been disrupted. "Magic and modernity are not adversaries," she said gently. "They are two facets of the same existence. We must learn to respect both, to find the harmony that can heal the rifts between us." As discussions deepened, the Accord's meetings evolved into dynamic sessions of dialogue and planning. Holographic displays projected intricate maps of ley lines and energy vortices across the table, merging with digital schematics of urban centers and renewable energy grids. Dr. Reed demonstrated his latest research, a predictive model that pinpointed thin spots where the veil between the worlds was already naturally fraying. "These are our opportunities," he explained, tapping on a glowing interface. "By focusing our efforts on these nodes, we can gradually reintroduce magic to the human world without causing alarm or disruption. Imagine urban gardens that not only beautify cities, but also serve as conduits for ambient energy, or medical devices enhanced by elemental forces to accelerate healing." Eliana and Lyra collaborated on designing new rituals that would incorporate modern technology with ancient incantations. They envisioned ceremonies broadcast in virtual reality that could educate and inspire a new generation, blending scientific explanation with the poetic mysteries of old. "We can create experiences that are both immersive and enlightening," Eliana said, her eyes sparkling with creativity. "By showing the beauty of our traditions alongside the marvels of innovation, we can foster understanding and respect between our peoples." Thorn's role was equally crucial. He organized training sessions where members of both the supernatural community and human defenders learned to work side by side. In a rugged outdoor training ground, set on the outskirts of a rewilded urban area, werewolves demonstrated their prowess in natural combat, while human tacticians shared strategies honed through decades of experience. "This isn't just about fighting," Thorn remarked during one session, his tone firm yet encouraging. "It's about learning from each other, blending instinct with intellect, strength with strategy." The Accord's vision was not merely defensive. It was a proactive blueprint for a transformed world. In one particularly memorable session, the delegates gathered in a high-ceilinged conference hall that overlooked a sprawling cityscape, where ancient trees intermingled with modern skyscrapers. Here, Lyra unveiled a proposal for harmonic hubs, community centers where magical and technological innovations coexisted seamlessly. These hubs would serve as educational platforms, research centers, and cultural sanctuaries, offering everything from spellcasting workshops to advanced STEM programs. "By creating spaces that celebrate both our legacies," Lyra explained softly, "we nurture a future where every individual can tap into the collective wisdom of our shared history." As the days turned into nights and back again, the Accord's work progressed with a sense of urgency and hope. Delegates took field trips into nature reserves, where the untouched majesty of the wilderness provided a stark contrast to the sterile corridors of modern institutions. There, guided by the light of the full moon and the quiet murmur of ancient streams, they conducted experiments that demonstrated how magic could enhance natural ecosystems. In one striking demonstration, a group of scientists and witches together revived a dying forest glade, its trees slowly coming back to life under the influence of carefully channeled mystical energy. Throughout these endeavors, Winona remained at the heart of the movement, a living symbol of the convergence between worlds. Her journey from betrayal and inner awakening had forged her into a leader of extraordinary resilience and empathy. Now, As she navigated the intricate web of alliances and strategies, she felt the weight of both her responsibility and her potential. In intimate moments with her newfound allies, she confessed her fears and doubts, and they in turn shared stories of their own struggles, a testament to the power of vulnerability and collective healing. In a quiet, candlelit room at one of the EE Harmonic hubs, Winona sat across from Dr. Reed and Aliana. The soft glow of magical orbs mingled with the ambient light of digital screens, creating an atmosphere that was both futuristic and timeless. "I used to believe that the past was a chain that held me back," Winona admitted, her voice trembling with raw emotion. "But now I see it as the foundation upon which we can build something truly magnificent. Our union, this accord, is the key to unlocking a future where every being can thrive." Dr. Reed smiled, his eyes reflecting both pride and determination. "The integration of science and magic is more than just a technological challenge," he said. "It's a cultural revolution. We have the opportunity to redefine what it means to be human, to reconnect with the earth, and to rediscover the wonder that has been lost in the rush of modern life." Ileana reached out, her hand resting gently on Winona's. "Your journey has taught you that strength comes from unity," she whispered. "Together, we can heal the rifts that have divided us for too long. The Twilight Accord is our beacon of hope, a promise that we are more than the sum of our parts, that our collective wisdom can forge a new era of balance and prosperity." Outside, as twilight deepened into a star-studded night, the city below buzzed with renewed energy. In neighborhoods where urban sprawl met reclaimed nature, community gardens bloomed alongside high-tech research labs, and ancient monuments were illuminated by the soft light of modern street lamps. It was a landscape in flux, a vivid canvas, where tradition and innovation intertwined in a dynamic dance of progress. In this moment, the formation of the Twilight Accord was more than a political or mystical alliance. It was a movement, a vibrant, living testament to the power of cooperation and the unyielding human spirit. Every decision, every plan devised in that grand chamber, carried with it the promise of transformation. The Accord was set to redefine boundaries, to create bridges between realms that had long been isolated by fear and misunderstanding. As the meeting drew to a close, Winona stood once more before her assembled allies, the weight of her destiny now tempered by the collective strength of the Accord. "We have taken the first steps towards a world where magic and modernity do not clash, but complement one another," she declared, her voice rising with the fervor of conviction. "This is not just our vision, it is our future. Together, we will create a legacy of unity and hope that will echo through the ages." The room erupted in quiet applause, a unified chorus of diverse voices that celebrated not only the promise of change, but the courage to embrace it. In that moment, the Twilight Accord was more than an alliance. It was a new beginning, a revolutionary fusion of the supernatural and the human that would shape the destiny of countless worlds. And so, beneath the watchful eyes of ancient deities and the gleam of modern innovation, the journey toward a harmonious future had truly begun. The Twilight Accord, with all its diversity, wisdom, and boundless potential, stood as a beacon for those who dared to dream of a world where every soul, whether born of magic or science, could share in the light of a new dawn. In the soft embrace of a secluded glade, where the ancient forest whispered secrets in a gentle, unhurried cadence, Winona finally met Cho again. The clearing was bathed in the tender light of late afternoon, the sun filtering through the towering trees in a mosaic of gold and green. It was a space untouched by the clamor of battle, a natural sanctuary where time itself seemed to slow, inviting both reflection and reconciliation. Winona's heart pounded with a mixture of apprehension and a long-suppressed hope as she approached the figure who had once been the center of her world. There, beneath a venerable oak, whose gnarled branches had witnessed countless seasons, Cho stood in solitude. His silhouette, framed by the soft glow of the setting sun, bore the weight of regret and the scars of decisions that could never be undone. The atmosphere was heavy with memories, a tapestry woven of betrayal, sorrow, and perhaps the possibility of redemption. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence between them was profound, filled with the unspoken words of the past, the ache of lost promises, and the tentative promise of healing. Winona's eyes searched Cho's, seeking to find the man she had once loved beneath the layers of cold resolve. In that quiet stillness, the forest itself seemed to listen. The rustle of leaves and the distant murmur of a flowing stream bearing witness to the unfolding scene. "Cho," Winona began softly, her voice trembling like the delicate leaves in the wind. "I've carried the pain of that night with me for so long. I never thought I'd have the chance to ask, to understand why." Her words, though laced with sorrow, held a note of earnest inquiry, an appeal for the truth that had remained locked away in the recesses of their shared past. Cho's gaze fell, and for a long moment he seemed lost in a labyrinth of memories. His eyes, once filled with the fierce intensity of passion and defiance, now shimmered with remorse and vulnerability. "Winona," he replied, his voice barely, more than a whisper. "I have regretted every moment of that betrayal. I thought I was protecting our world, our pack, from a future that I believed would destroy us. But I see now. I see that I was wrong." The confession, simple yet laden with the gravity of his admission, hung in the air. As the wind stirred the delicate blossoms at their feet, Cho continued, "I was manipulated by forces I barely understood, by promises of strength and order that turned into chains binding me to a destiny not meant for love, but for control. I lost sight of what mattered, of us." His words trembled with raw emotion, each syllable a testament to the internal battle he had waged long after the night that shattered their bond. Winona's heart ached at the sound of his voice, and memories of the bitter coldness, the finality of his dismissal, mingled with a yearning for the warmth of what had once been. "I felt abandoned," she admitted, her voice quivering as tears threatened to spill. "Every time I looked into your eyes, I saw only emptiness, like the promise of our future was erased in an instant. I spent so long trying to rebuild myself." From the ruins of that night, the forest seemed to lean in closer, as if to comfort them both, its ancient branches swaying gently overhead. The interplay of light and shadow cast intricate patterns on the soft ground, mirroring the complex web of emotions that now bound them together. In that moment, the past and the present merged into a single fragile reality, a space where pain could be transformed into understanding, and regret into the first steps toward redemption. Cho took a hesitant step forward, his eyes filled with a sincerity that had long been absent. "I want to make amends, Winona," he said earnestly. "Not to erase the past, but to honor it by learning from it. I understand now that the strength we need is not in severing bonds or holding on to outdated orders, but in healing them, uniting our shattered pieces into something new and resilient." A long silence followed, heavy with the promise of reconciliation. Winona looked away for a moment, letting her gaze wander over the gentle curves of the stream that meandered through the glade, its waters clear and reflective. In the soft murmur of the stream, she heard echoes of the past, of whispered secrets shared beneath moonlight, of laughter and tears that had once defined their connection. Slowly, she turned back to Cho, her eyes softening as she allowed the wounds of old betrayals to show the beginnings of healing. "I've spent so long locked in anger, letting the pain dictate every step of my journey," Winona murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "But in that anguish, I also discovered something precious, the strength within me to rise above the hurt, to become who I was always meant to be. I am no longer that broken soul. I am stronger, wiser, and I still believe that there can be a future where our differences are not the end, but the start of something greater." Her words, sincere and resolute, seemed to bridge the chasm between them. Cho's eyes glistened with unshed tears as he absorbed her vulnerability and strength. "I have been a coward, Winona," he confessed, his tone pained yet determined. "I allowed fear to dictate my actions, and in doing so, I betrayed the very essence of our bond. I know I can never undo what has been done, but I need to walk this path of redemption with you, if you can find it in your heart to forgive me." The air around them seemed to shimmer with the weight of that promise. In the gentle caress of the forest breeze and the soft chorus of nature, the two souls faced the truth of their intertwined destinies. Winona's eyes glistened with a mixture of sorrow and hope as she reached out, placing a tentative hand on Cho's arm, a gesture as fragile as it was profound. "Forgiveness is a long journey," she whispered, "and I am not sure how far I can go, but I am willing to try, if it means that we can rebuild something new from the ruins of what we lost." Their conversation unfolded slowly, like the gradual unfurling of a flower at dawn. As they sat together beneath the ancient oak, time seemed to flow both backward and forward, flickering images of their shared past, moments of tenderness, the laughter of brighter days, the promise of a future that had once seemed so certain, intermingled with the present reality of regret and tentative hope. The natural light shifted, subtly as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows that danced around them in a silent, poignant ballet. Cho spoke of his journey since that fateful night. The endless nights of regret, the isolation that had consumed him, and the small moments of clarity that had led him to seek redemption. "I wandered, lost in a maze of my own making, thinking that distancing myself from you would ease the pain of my failure," he admitted. "But in that solitude, I realized that my greatest mistake was not the betrayal itself, but the unwillingness to confront my own shortcomings. I let pride and fear blind me to the love that we once shared." Winona listened, her heart softening with each word, as the raw, unfiltered truth of his remorse resonated within her. "I too have learned that clinging to pain only deepens the scars," she replied gently. "I spent years trying to bury the memories, to hide behind walls of anger and solitude. But eventually, I discovered that healing comes not from forgetting, but from embracing our past, acknowledging the hurt, and then choosing to rise above it." A quiet understanding passed between them, a silent agreement that the road to redemption was paved with honest dialogue and mutual vulnerability. As the conversation deepened, the boundaries between forgiveness and resentment began to blur, replaced by a growing desire to rebuild what had been broken. The natural setting, with its timeless beauty and quiet resilience, mirrored their internal transformation, a reminder that even the most scarred landscapes can bloom again under the nurturing light of forgiveness. In the fading light of day, as twilight crept gently over the horizon, Cho and Winona made a silent pact, a promise to embark on a journey of healing together. The glade, once a place of painful memories, now seemed to pulse with the soft glow of new beginnings. The old wounds, though not forgotten, were now seen as markers of a past that had forged them into the people they were today. Flawed, yet capable of profound change. In that moment, Cho's sincerity shone through in the gentleness of his touch and the unguarded honesty in his eyes. "I want to be there for you," he said softly, almost as if afraid to break the fragile spell of reconciliation. "Not as someone who demands forgiveness, but as someone who will work tirelessly to earn it. I will stand by you, and together, we can forge a future that honors the love we once had and the promise of what we can become." Winona's eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow this time, but of a deep, cathartic release, a quiet celebration of the possibility that even the deepest betrayals can yield the richest seeds of transformation. "Then let us begin this new chapter," she whispered, her voice steady and resolute. "Let our journey be a testament to the power of forgiveness, the strength of redemption, and the endless capacity of our hearts to love again. As night descended upon the glade, the stars emerged one by one in the vast, unblemished sky, a celestial tapestry that bore witness to the silent, powerful reconciliation unfolding below. In that sacred moment, amid the rustling leaves and the gentle murmur of the earth, two souls, once torn apart by betrayal, found in each other the courage to heal and the determination to rebuild. Their paths, though marred by the scars of the past, now converged toward a future defined not by pain, but by the promise of renewal and the transformative power of forgiveness. And so, beneath the ancient oak, in a glade where time seemed to stand still, Winona and Cho took their first steps together on the arduous yet hopeful road to reconciliation, a road where every spoken word and every silent gesture wove the fragile threads of healing into a tapestry of enduring love and resilience. As the horizon broke open with the first light of dawn, the world seemed to pause in a breathtaking moment of rebirth. The night's shadows receded, replaced by a radiant glow that spilled over the city's sleek skyline and filtered through the ancient canopy of the forest. It was a dawn unlike any other, a shimmering promise of renewal and possibility, where every ray of sunlight danced on dew-kissed leaves and glistened against the glass facades of modern buildings. This was the dawn of a new era, the very embodiment of the transformation that had taken root in Winona's heart. Standing at the edge of a vast open clearing, Winona gazed out at the breathtaking panorama before her. The remnants of old battlegrounds and ancient stone circles were now illuminated by the gentle, golden light of sunrise, casting long, hopeful shadows that stretched across the land. The soft murmur of a nearby stream mingled with the hum of the awakening city, a harmonious blend of nature and modernity that perfectly encapsulated the unity of the worlds she had come to embody. Now, transformed by the trials of her past and emboldened by the alliances forged along her journey, Winona felt a profound sense of purpose and renewal. Gone were the days of despair and shattered dreams. In their place stood a woman defined by resilience, compassion, and an unyielding determination to bridge the divide between the ancient and the contemporary. The luminous markings on her skin, once symbols of pain and loss, now shone as vibrant emblems of her rebirth, a visible reminder that she was the living conduit of change. With a graceful yet resolute stride, Winona stepped forward into the light of the new dawn. Each footfall resonated with the strength of every trial overcome and every lesson learned along the arduous path to this moment. As she advanced, her eyes, once burdened by sorrow, now sparkled with the promise of hope and the fire of conviction. The gentle caress of the morning breeze whispered softly of potential, carrying with it the scents of blooming wildflowers and the invigorating freshness of rain-washed earth. In the distance, the city stirred with activity. Modern skyscrapers reflected the soft pink and gold hues of the sunrise, while pockets of green, urban parks, and reclaimed natural spaces hinted at the harmonious coexistence of technology and nature. It was as if the entire world was coming together in a silent celebration of transformation, a visual symphony that heralded a future where ancient magic and human innovation would no longer be at odds, but rather would flourish side by side. Winona paused for a moment at a vantage point overlooking this magnificent fusion of worlds. In her heart, she carried the memory of every sacrifice made, every loss endured, and every spark of hope that had fueled her journey from betrayal to empowerment. The faces of her allies, the wise Hanaya, the steadfast Thorn, the luminous Ileana, the passionate Lyra, and the insightful Dr. Reed, flashed before her mind's eye. Their voices, once distant echoes, now formed a resounding chorus of unity, each one a vital thread in the tapestry of the new era she was determined to create. With a clear, commanding tone that belied her inner tenderness, Winona began to speak, not to a gathered crowd, but to the very spirit of the emerging world. Today, we stand at the threshold of transformation, she declared, her words carried on the gentle wind. "We have witnessed the decay of old orders and the suffering they have wrought. But this new dawn is our chance to rebuild, to create a future where every being, whether born of magic or of science, can thrive in harmony." Her voice, resonant and filled with heartfelt conviction, seemed to merge with the ambient chorus of nature and technology. It was a call to action, a beacon for all those who had long felt the sting of isolation and the weight of outdated traditions. Let our alliances be the foundation upon which we build a world defined not by division, but by unity. Let the ancient wisdom of our ancestors blend with the innovations of our modern age, forging a path to a sustainable future where the power of love, courage, and understanding guides us. As the morning light grew stronger, it cast its brilliant rays upon the faces of those who had chosen to embrace change. In the quiet corners of the city, in the hearts of those who believed in a new order, the seeds of revolution had been sown. Communities that once hid in the shadows of fear were now beginning to emerge, inspired by the vision of a world where every soul was valued, where the supernatural and the human were not adversaries, but partners in the great tapestry of life. Winona continued her solitary walk, her path now leading her toward the heart of a bustling community center, a symbol of the integrated future envisioned by the Twilight Accord. Along the way, she passed by vibrant murals that depicted the convergence of celestial and terrestrial motifs, images of mythical creatures intertwined with modern icons, each brushstroke a testament to the beauty of transformation. These visuals were not mere decorations. They were a living narrative of a world reborn, a powerful reminder that the future was being rewritten by the courageous acts of those who dared to dream. In a quiet plaza, surrounded by a fusion of futuristic architecture and organic, nature-inspired designs, Winona found herself amidst a gathering of people from all walks of life. There were scientists, artists, spiritual leaders, and ordinary citizens, each contributing their unique light to the collective vision of unity. The plaza buzzed with vibrant energy, soft instrumental music blended with the natural sounds of water features and rustling trees, creating an atmosphere that was both exhilarating and deeply calming. At the center of this convergence, Winona addressed the assembled crowd. "We are the architects of our destiny," she proclaimed, her voice clear and unwavering. "We have faced the darkness and emerged with the strength to ignite a revolution of hope. Together, we can restore the balance between our worlds, ensuring that magic and modernity walk hand in hand. This is our promise, a future where every step we take is a tribute to resilience, every innovation a celebration of our shared heritage, and every act of compassion a beacon for those still lost in the shadows." Her words rippled through the crowd like a tidal wave of inspiration, igniting a fervor that transcended individual differences. In that moment, the gathering was united by a common purpose, a collective yearning for a new dawn defined by cooperation, sustainability, and the transformative power of unity. The spark of revolution had been lit, and there was no turning back. As the day fully broke, Winona stood at the forefront of this new beginning, a living embodiment of the convergence between old and new. The rising sun bathed her in its warm, golden light, illuminating her features and casting a halo of hope around her. The challenges of the past were not forgotten, but they had been transmuted into the strength that now propelled her forward. Every scar, every painful memory, had become a symbol of her journey toward becoming a force of change, a guardian of the delicate balance that held the worlds together. In the vast panorama of the new dawn, the horizon was filled with infinite possibilities. The future beckoned with the promise of continued transformation, a future where every alliance, every shared dream, would contribute to a mosaic of progress and harmony. And as Winona took her first steps into that radiant future, the open expanse before her seemed to whisper of a destiny yet to be fully revealed. A destiny that would continue to evolve with each courageous act, each bold decision, and each moment of profound connection between beings from all corners of existence. Her journey was far from over. The new dawn was not an end, but a beginning, a call to all who believed in the power of change to rise, unite, and forge a better world. With the light of the sun as her guide and the legacy of the past as her foundation, Winona walked confidently into the future, her heart alight with the promise of a tomorrow defined by unity, resilience, and the transformative power of love. And so, as the day unfurled its luminous tapestry and the voices of a renewed world sang in harmonious chorus, Winona embraced her destiny. She was the bridge between worlds, the embodiment of a revolution that would reshape the supernatural and human realms alike. In that magnificent convergence of light and life, her journey continued, a journey of hope, of boundless possibility, and of a future forever marked by the unyielding spirit of those who dare to dream of a new dawn.